Hey, everyone, and welcome to The Difference, a podcast highlighting leaders who are making a difference in their teams, their stores, and their communities. And I'm Alexis Whaley. And today
I'm not Drew Holler.
Not Drew Holler.
My name is Dave Roberts, and I'm the producer for The Difference podcast. Been working on it from day one and had a fun time with you, Alexis, and Drew. Has been a blast. So this has been a great experience.
Yes. It's been a journey, and we've had how many episodes so far?
22 episodes.
Wow, 22 episodes. I cannot believe you guys have been putting up with me for 22 episodes. No, that's fantastic. This week, Drew is out, and so it's Dave and I just running the show. So good luck, and hope you like this one. But
what are we going to talk about?
Exactly. This week, we are going to be basically pulling together all of the individuals that we have had really great conversations with over these past 22 episodes. We're going to talk about leadership concepts, tips, tricks, ideas, thoughts, all around leadership. And it ranges from people from team leads to store managers, market managers, and external candidates that we've had on here as well. And pretty soon there's going to be a blooper one too, right? We're going to have some bloopers hit us.
Right. Yeah. We can't do like a highlights video or a highlights podcast without having a little bit of bloopers.
Gotta have a lot of bloopers. Yeah, especially when you have Drew and I on here, polar opposites. There's some disconnect there. So it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look. All right.
But when you look back on the last year, what's been the most challenging aspect of it?
I think just really being a leader, as a market manager and guiding the team through all of the different challenges. And it wasn't just, one or two challenges. It seems like as we moved through the year, something would happen. Down here, we had a lot, hurricanes. We've had a ton of different things on top of the pandemic and along with everything else. So I think just being a leader and questioning, am I making the right decision? Am I leading the team the right way for them to be successful at the end of the day? We were in uncharted waters for most of the year, one way or another. So I think just believing, in your own leadership was probably one of the most challenging things for me throughout the whole year.
Yeah, because you're making decisions without all the information, right? It's all new, and you're having to make a decision with, like I said, limited information or gray space. And so you have to trust yourself a little bit, right?
Absolutely. I mean, being in an epicenter during the pandemic at the early ages in March.
That's right.
I tell you, just thinking about it from that standpoint, we kind of, helped along, with the home office leadership on, different aspects of building what protocols should look like in certain situations. So it definitely challenging times through all of that.
Yeah.
So cool.
I thought we were going to go down a different direction, and it was going to be Dungeons and Dragons. And
we can go that direction too. I've got dice right at my table.
So Drew, what do you know about Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, well, not a lot. That's
boy.
But hey, you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I will not be any help in that conversation.
I don't want to say I have a lot of faith in myself because I'm a very confident person, coming to work positive, everything like that. But, I didn't get my high school diploma in a conventional way. I didn't get to graduate from a high school or walk and, get that. I ended up dropping out when I was younger and then getting my GED. So for the longest time, I felt that was going to hold me back. And anytime I wanted to promote, I'm like, they're going to see that and think I can't do it. That's not normal. That's not the normal way that things are done. And, they were like, no, like you've got this, this, don't, that's not going to stop you, AJ. And then the more that they helped push me, the more comfortable I got with it. And then when I was the store lead, my store manager, Nathan, was like, all right, here's the key to the Ferrari. You do your thing, you run the business. I'm here just in case in the back seat, being your backseat driver and, kind of helping you coast along the way. And it really was a blessing because it taught me a lot. It taught me how to be one-on-one with more associates, how to be able to look at the GM side and run that business while also looking at the grocery side. And then when I came here, I'm like, this is my new Ferrari. This is my small, but we love her. She's amazing. And, now I get to help take care of people and take care of a store. So.
Yeah, it's interesting how these false narratives we play to ourselves, like the high school diploma thing. Nobody probably cared, right? When they were going through the interview, but in your mind,
Absolutely.
they're going to care. And we all have those. I have them. We all have them. Like, oh my gosh, what are they going to say about this? And it's these false narratives that we play in our mind that aren't really based on reality, but can hold us back from reaching our full potential for sure, but then hold us back from even taking a hold of opportunities that come our way. And what I found is we all have them, right? I don't care who you are. There's something along the way that's this false thought that you may think, and it subconsciously sometimes holds you back. All right, Alexis.
Drew.
We are actually in person.
We're here. There's no camera. It's
a little weird.
Yep.
But good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in like a year face to face, and we've been doing these podcasts.
Oh, well, we did take that one trip to that store.
That's right. We did.
Like a few weeks ago, so.
Yeah.
That's when you hit the button of the crickets.
We'll start over. All right, here we go.
Think about professional development and personal development and even that self-care aspect. We know it requires time and we know it takes effort and we have to be intentional about it. But how have you balanced all of this? How have you balanced being a store manager and your journeys through writing a book and self-care and even Live Better You and your family? How do you do all of it?
Yeah. So someone told me that they thought that 2020 was my best year operating this store of all the years that I've been here. And I have to tell you, the reason I was able to do that and balance all these things is because I got myself into a good routine. If I hadn't lost that weight and got myself motivated, then I probably wouldn't be able to balance all this. I am a very motivated person. And once I set my mind to something and I have a goal, I have to manifest it. I have to do everything that I can in order to meet that goal. I've never been a quitter, and I don't like to give up. I'm a big WWE fan. For those of you that don't know, that's why you look at my social media page, you always see the VPI winner holding the championship.
Yes.
But one of my favorite wrestlers, John Cena, he always talks about, never giving up, never quit. And that's one of the things that, I live by all the time.
And Kevin, that's half the battle, right? Not quitting's half the battle.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's really a mindset. Even if I have a bad day, because we all have our share, of bad days. Sure. The next day is going to be better, because I do have bad days. My associates have bad days, but my job as a store manager is to keep my associates motivated. I have to keep myself motivated as store manager. If I know I haven't given everything I got to 63-23 today, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to channel my inner Kobe Bryant, and I'm going to make sure that tomorrow's better.
I play video games a lot. On Sundays, I usually have a standing meeting where we play D&D every Sunday. So, yeah, that's why I was kind of like, wait a second.
Alexis.
Just, yeah.
How is this possible? Have I been living under a rock or what? I don't know.
This is great.
From my leadership, I've really been lucky. I've had strong leadership across my career with Walmart. I've been with 2 different stores, and I look for the leader that gives me the tools but doesn't spoon feed it. I want them to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and then let me go do it, and then teach me. One of my current leaders she said something to me. She said, you don't learn from your praises, you learn from your corrections. I want to be corrected. If I'm doing something wrong, I want them to tell me so. And if I'm doing something right, well, let me keep doing it because I know what I'm doing.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a little bit of like set the goal of, hey, here's what we need to accomplish, and then let you go figure out how to get it done, how to
Exactly.
get the team, and then correct you along the way to make sure you kind of stay on path. And I think we all want that. You know, I don't know if I've ever asked that question and said, what I really like is somebody to micromanage me. That's the type of leadership I want. You know, I've never talked to anybody who said that. I think most people want, hey, tell me the goal, tell me what you expect, and then give me the framework that I can have autonomy to work on and make decisions. And for those of us that are in leadership, that's the fun part. The fun part is getting in within the framework and being able to make things better, being able to improve, being able to innovate, being able to motivate, all those kind of things within that framework. It's not like we can go do whatever we want, but we can achieve those goals with integrity the best way we can. And that's the type of environment I think we all want to work in.
There's a couple of things that either I've said over and over and over in these podcasts, or you've said, and if you could put it's like a one word, like find like, and then like it, I can't even think of what it would be, but
Wait, what's going on?
like I said, I found myself saying one word over and over and over.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Listen.
They sort of know going into it, like, we've got to set goals that are maybe a tiny bit out of our reach. We feel that they're a little bit out of our reach, but it's still realistic. It's still within the realm of possibility. And my biggest thing is like, you have to be specific about your goals, because if it's too vague, you give yourself an out. You know, I even challenge my athletes, and then I'll say, okay, what do you want to work on today on beam? They say, I want to work on my series. I'm like, great. What does that look like? Oh, I'm going to do a few and a high. How many? And if it's 3, how many without wobbles? And I try to get them to be super specific so that,
real into it.
Yeah. And it's measurable, and it creates more accountability that way. And so I love the SMART goals, and I feel like our 3 brains are going crazy right now, but I try to give them the tools and then let them kind of run with it and figure it out as a team, because they're all adults, and, you know, in reality, they're college students, and this is all a way that we can teach them how to approach life after college and after gymnastics. But I think the number one thing, if they had to say anything at all, it would be that, you know, I helped them grow, and I pushed them to reach their potential. And I mean that not just with gymnastics, but as a human being as well. You know, we do a lot of team discussions, but we also do a lot of one-on-one, and them periodically throughout the year, where we have them come in and check in on how they're doing. And I try to encourage them to lead the conversation instead of me just talking at them. And so my goal for them in their 4 years is to help them really find their voice. And so they can say, you know, she pushed me to my potential, and she helped me find my voice. Like, to me, that is what I want to do, you know, aside from any gymnastics accomplishments.
I feel like you probably know what question is probably going to happen next. Can you say something to us in one of those languages? I don't know. Drew, will you give him a sentence to say?
You say what you want to say, and then I'll translate it back to you.
All right.
Actually, Alexis, you say something in Chinese, and Alexis will translate back.
Yes.
Okay. 我有一个问题.
I heard Drew has started learning about Dungeons and Dragons.
It actually means I have a question.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, yes.
All right.
One of the things that I know I have mentioned with my peers has been around risk taking. And sometimes it can be really scary to kind of take that leap and to go forward with it. And, you know, what is something that you would suggest for someone who is wanting to take that risk, but is scared to do it?
So great question. I don't think you get reward unless you take risk.
Yeah.
And I will say, no way am I in the job I'm in today if I didn't take risks. If I didn't leave and that's the amazing thing about Walmart is there's a lot of people who actually, what they've done to me would have been a risk. Like moving from my hometown was like a huge risk for me. Like,
sure.
Oh my gosh, I've only ever lived there. But like, if I didn't leave my hometown, I would never have been able to do all these things. And so I always say to people when they're thinking of risk is think of what the potential long-term reward would be. And most important, will you have regrets? Because no one wants to have regrets, right? And we all have some along the way, like, oh, I could have done, should have done, whatever. And you never want to live in the past. You never want to have a regret. But if something is worth going for, then you have to be open to the fact that if it isn't what it was meant to be, you can always go back or you can always go into another direction. So, if anything, I would say, allow yourself the opportunity to not see it as a risk, but see it as a reward. Like, what will you gain from it as opposed to what will you lose from it? And if you take that, hey, there's additive opportunity, then hopefully that sort of helps you navigate and you can always go back. You can always go back. Something else was so much better, you can always do a U-turn, right? And that's correct.
That's a twist. Guy from Jamaica that loves hockey.
Loves hockey. Yeah, and there is something else that Courtney loves. Drew, are you ready for this?
No. What is it?
You're not?
What is it?
Dungeons and Dragons.
There's no way.
You're not a fan? Come on.
I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I just find it very weird that every week it comes up.
You would be correct, Drew.
Huh?
You're right.
You would be correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're right.
No.
Because I'm like, all right, for the first 20 years of my career, I've never talked to anybody about Dungeons and Dragons. And then the last 3 weeks, it's been like every week. I just find that odd.
I have 3-year-old twins.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, I love it. A little vulnerable moment here. Big believer in both executive coaching, team coaching, and then mental health therapy. And I know you all have a great therapy program. I'm a big user of Guild's therapy program. I encourage all of our folks to carve out time during their week to find time to talk about their own mental health. I once told my therapist, I was like, hey, I'm learning so much from parenting. I hope my employees, my team doesn't feel like it's diminutive if I'm like using similar concepts. Because I'm not talking to you like a 3-year-old. I'm not scolding you. But she said, I was working through this topic with her that I was like, I'm having this easier time processing this at home than at work. And it was this idea of worthiness. And she helped me unlock. She's like, the day your girls were born, before they had done anything, did you believe they were whole and worthy? And I was like, well, of course, like I'm a mom. And she was like, what if every human walked around the earth feeling that way? Like, yes, I made a mistake at work today. That doesn't mean I'm worthy. That doesn't make me a D student. That doesn't mean I'm going to lose the job. Like, what if feedback was disconnected from our worthiness? What if our worthiness was whole, the same way your belief in your girl's worthiness is completely, they can do the worst thing in my house. I mean, one Drew on the cabinets. On Sunday, we literally let her we were watching for 30 seconds and she covered the cabinets in pen. But like, I never questioned her worthiness in that moment. But somehow what we learned in K-12 was that our worthiness is tied to our output and our production.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for those of us who are type A, we get really nervous that if we unhinge those two things, how will I work hard enough? Will my team work hard enough?
That's right.
What if I give too much praise? What if we get all anxious about this. And so this idea of we are all worthy, we are all deserving, and feedback can be totally disconnected from that. And we can still admit we made a mistake yesterday. We have something to work on. We have room for improvement. We're not a perfect fit for the role we're in today. Any of those conversations can then be really rewarding and oriented towards growth and not a criticism of somebody's worthiness.
It's a big thing when you learn to quantify situations and things to help build an associate's, to help them understand how important they are and what they do, right? I think that's important to be able to do that. I recall a situation, Drew, when I was a store manager, and I wanted to get the team aligned and engaged, and I wanted to talk about how important each member of the team was. And I took the stockman, for example, and how they, get the retrieve shopping carts, right? And, and it's a mundane job. You would say we go get carts, we bring carts back. And I let them know how important they were to the business. For example, each shopping cart that they brought in was worth $275,000 worth of sales. And I let them know that, I engage people on that level and say, this is how important you are. Every time you bring in a shopping cart, this is what it produces.
That's right. That's a great way to look at it.
Coaches, whether it's team leads, I want you to know the scope and scale of your business. You have a team lead running a $20, $30 million business. I ask them, do you know anyone outside of Walmart personally that runs a $30 million business? And they typically don't.
Yep.
So you have to let them understand and know how important they are and how big the job is that they do. Right. Absolutely. And then engage them and thank them and help them, through that. So I think that's very, very, very important for a store manager to be able to do that.
Again, I will. This is great.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks.
And then we hit the red button again. That. One of these days, Drew's going to dance. Everybody wait, tune in and just keep watching.